Hello bass family and welcome to Everything Bass. Today we're going to cover what to do when you see a major 7 sharp 11 chord. Now before people start commenting, which I love the comments, but this is a chord you might not run against or run into in your entire music career unless you're playing certain styles and genres of music. And that's okay. But in the course of my 30 plus years of teaching, it's interesting how many students, some are just high school jazz band students, some are students learning on their own, sometimes just poking around on the internet and they see the chord major 7 sharp 11. And it just kind of, they don't know what to do with it. And honestly, this video is going to talk about what to do with this specific chord, but it's also hopefully going to give you tools where the more you understand about theory, you can figure it out on your own. And that's the goal, I think, of every teacher, is to create students that are independent and can find answers on their own when no resources are around. So let's talk about the chord itself. So when you see the symbol, major 7, sharp 11, that's actually telling you exactly what the chord is made of, if you understand basic intervals. So in this example, let's just use C major 7. So C major 7 has a C, the root, E, the third, G, the fifth, and B, the 7. But it says sharp 11. And I know that sometimes you might go, well, we covered intervals, root up to the octave, but what's the 11? Well, it's quite simple. Sometimes in music theory, they want to make sure the musician reading the chords knows, like if it's a piano player, that they want to take this 11 and put it above the octave or separate it from the tonic. And so they'll use sharp 11. But if you want to figure out quickly any number greater than 8, what it really is in a basic, 1 octave pattern, is take 7 away. So it says sharp 11, take 7 away. It's actually a sharp 4. And this works like if you happen to see a 9. So you might see a G7 flat 9. Well, take 7 away from 9, that's a 2, it's a flat 2. 13, take 7 away from 13, it's a 6. So that little device helps you right away figure out, well, what is this new number I've never dealt with? But you've dealt with it. You weave, if you've been with me for a while here and you've gone through my Understanding Intervals series, which is on my channel. If you haven't done that, it's so key. Understanding names of intervals and what they represent as a distance from the tonic can really, really help you unlock a lot of the stuff that might be confusing you right now. Because honestly, music theory is very logical. I find it to be very logical. And with the right instruction, not hard at all to get through. So sharp 11. Well, in C, the 4, if you count up a major scale, 1, 2, 3, 4. The 4 is an F. Sharp 11 means it's an F sharp. So you just take any number or any interval, and when it says sharp that interval, move it up 1 fret from the major scale, and that's usually our true 0. That's our starting point. That's our baseline. So when they're saying sharp 11, they're saying in the C major scale, take the normal 4 and move it up a half step, and then take that up and put it up an octave. So in the little intro I was playing, I played a C major 7 chord on my piccolo bass. Then I added in the F sharp because I don't have enough fingers and strings to do it all at once. Added in the F sharp. So now you have an understanding that the C major 7 sharp 11 is C, E, G, B, F sharp on top. Now, what can we do with that? Well, one is you can play chord tones. You can literally play a bass line based on the arpeggio I just gave you. And you can play as a bass line, you can play it as a sharp 4. You don't always have to put it up. It's just wherever you would normally play an F, play it as an F sharp. Or when you transpose this to other roots, whenever you would play a 4, play it as a sharp 4. So that's just root, sharp 4, 5, 3, 7. So one option we as bass players have is we can always play chord tone bass lines. And you may go, oh, they're so boring. No, man, they're not. It's just you might not be doing creative things with them. And I don't mean that as a slight on you. But, I've heard amazing bass solos with triads, just root 3, 5. And it always amazes me how creative and powerful it can sound. So that's what you're going to want to explore. You want to hopefully have a looper or a friend who can play the chord for you, and just experiment playing, with just arpeggios and see what the chord tones can do for you. Obviously, the real tasty one is that sharp 11, that F sharp in the C major 7 sharp 11 chord, because it resolves so cool to the 5. It's just a half step movement, so you can get these really cool sounds, and that's part of the reason why the composer chose to use that chord. Now let's think scales. Well, there's a couple things you can do, quite honestly. One is, if one step more complex than playing just the chord tones, is you can just use major pentatonic. Now you might be going, well, why? Well, the major pentatonic, if you remember, and if you don't know, go back and check my video about major pentatonic scale. That's just what it's called. But you got C, the root, D, the 2, E, so the major thirds there. There's no 4 at all, which is a choice to avoid it. The G, the 5, the A, the major 6, and the octave. Now, so you can play this. You would just not be playing the sharp 11, and that's a choice. And you may decide. I've done this at times when I've been in bands with lots of musicians, a couple guitar players, keyboard player, horn players, singers, multiple background singers. A lot of times I'll choose to play chord tone bass lines, or major pentatonic or minor pentatonic bass lines, depending on the chord, not really throwing the full density of the harmony into my bass line, to leave space so that as other people play with that sharp 11, I'm not conflicting with it. I'm staying out of the way. So let's review. You can play just chord tones. Literally, you could just play the major 7 arpeggio and just avoid the F sharp, or you can put in the sharp 11, so C major 7 with the F sharp in it. You can just play that and create bass lines. I encourage you to do that to see what's possible with just those simple tones. You can play major pentatonic, as we discussed. And then I want to jump ahead. There's a lot, like you can meet a lot of guys that go, oh, what I like to do is go up a fifth and play, such and such. But let's just stick with some really basic rules that you can memorize quickly. Chord tones, major pentatonic, or Lydian. Now, if you go to my Learning the Modes Unit 4, which is Lydian, I'll go through more detail just this particular scale. Don't let the term modes freak you out. It's a scale. It's a scale. It's a scale with a collection of chord tones and non-chord tones that creates a certain feeling or mood. So Lydian, as you might suspect in the C Lydian is C, D, E, F sharp. That's why this is a good choice, because naturally in this scale the sharp 11 is represented. G, A, B, C. So it's basically the C major scale with the sharp 4. And that's why it's the perfect marriage of these tones with that chord, because they're a perfect match together. So what I'd encourage you to do is try to find some way to play against the chord. You can do it without any backing tracks and just kind of play with the bass line. If you do that, what I would suggest is start just with like the major 7 arpeggio. Get that tonality in your ear. Then add the sharp 11. If you don't have any backing tracks, that can help at least educate your ear, like, okay, now what's different? That sharp 11. Now the major pentatonic. This one's going to be rough because there's no representation of the sharp 11, so unless you have a backing track, you're not really learning like what you play and what it creates against the chord. And then, of course, Lydian. And again, ideally having someone to play chords for you, or if you are a multi-instrumentalist, or you can play chords on your bass and you have a looper, or heck, even your cell phone, just use voice memo, record the chord, and you may do it my way. Like I might suggest, if you have a 4-string bass, to play just the C major 7 chord, and then add in, as re-record if you can, multiple track, an F sharp, F sharp over it. That's where a looper is really good. There's actually looping software available for the iPad and the iPhone, and I imagine any of the Android devices, where it will let you multi-track over and layer over it. Of course, GarageBand, any of those. There's a lot of options. If none of those work for you and you really want to do this, just message me or put in the description below that you'd like me to provide maybe some backing tracks with simple major 7 sharp 11 chords, and I can do that for my Patreon subscribers, because it's kind of the best way I know how to get you guys backing tracks. Now, if you are a Patreon subscriber, check out the post that matches this video, because I'll have, of course, kind of a summary. So if you are printing it out and putting it in your lesson binder, you'll see, what my steps of going through just the our basic arpeggio, the arpeggio part plus the sharp 11, major pentatonic, Lydian, and then I'll provide some other backing information just to kind of fill out this video. The reason why I do make that available to Patreon subscribers for most of my videos, there's some kind of download, is because I know it's sometimes not convenient to play and practice in front of your computer monitor or with your device. So being able to watch the video, understand the concept, print out a piece of material, and add it to your practice binder, that's, I think, helpful, because now you can practice anywhere. If you don't have signal or you can't get online, whatnot, you at least can, hopefully remember the video, remember the instruction, have my notes, and add it into your regular practice routine. So major 7 sharp 11, cool chord, a very cool chord. I should say, you sometimes have to train your ear to appreciate the chord. I know when I started, I was a rock, metal, funk, blues kind of bass player. I played a lot of top 40 bands covering those styles. So when I first went to Musicians Institute and got deeper into jazz, sometimes they would talk about a chord and the instructor would play it, and I was like, oh, I don't like that chord at all. But what it was just new to me. And I had to hear it in context of a progression and why the tension of that chord was so good in leading your ear to the next chord. And then as I got into building walking bass lines and playing melodies, I started appreciating those chords, because chords with that kind of color and tension just give you lots of ideas, and that's what I appreciate for it. All right, well, what do you think about this video? I have no problem going through some more chords that have interesting intervals within them, more exotic chords, showing you how to break them down. But really, I do want you guys to be independent. I want you guys to understand intervals, and then you can decode some of these things that might have been confusing to you in the past. All right? Let me know what you think. As always, it does me a big solid if you can give this video a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, just hit the subscription. That's free. Just hit the little subscribe button. Give the bell icon a little ring, and that'll notify you every time I post videos. I post about 3 to 4 videos a week now. And of course, I have a huge catalog of videos up on my channel and over 150 posts on my Patreon account. All right, guys, thank you so much for stopping by, and I'll see you at the next video.